Read the opening statement here. The school board welcomes you to this evening's meeting. This is a meeting of the school board held in public and not a public meeting. The school board will allow expressions of public comment on actionable school board agenda items adhering to the guidelines established by the school board as it aligns with Indiana law. A person who wishes to address the school board on actionable items should have completed the appropriate form with all requested information submitted to the school resource officer at least 5 minutes before the start of the meeting. For patrons wishing to speak on non-actionable items, you will need to contact Mr. Ramey and ask to be placed on the agenda of the next regularly scheduled meeting. All requests, as a reminder, must be received by the Wednesday prior to the school board meeting. So thank you all for making it, and we will see you for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll just pause and ask you, Father, to watch over this school board meeting, look over those in our district, the administrators, the students, the families, as we prepare for another school year. We ask that you'll grant us wisdom and guidance in the actions of the school, and we ask all this in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen. Again, thank you all for making the meeting tonight, and we will start with the minutes, and I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the June 9th, 2025 school board meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Dennis.
Second.
Thank you, Melissa. Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor? Okay, thanks. Next, I would entertain a motion to approve the work session from June 23rd, 2025 school board meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian.
Second.
Thank you, Dennis. Any discussion with that? And not hearing any. All those in favor? Thank you. So moving to special presentations and recognitions.
Yeah, we have a few special presentations this evening. We're going to start off with Dennis McKinney giving you just a real quick project update. You know, there's some stuff that's going on at Wells and Western Boone that's kind of out of sight, out of mind. And so, Dennis, if you wouldn't mind just giving an update on those two.
Sure. So as you guys know, we've started our projects going over at the high school in Grable Wells. The big portion is the tennis courts, the control project on the building controls, the roofing project, and also auditorium renovations that's going on in there. Roof is all but done here at the high school. We have a little bit of a knee wall that's left to go, and then they got the coping to put on it, and it's all done. It looks good. We had multiple leaks during the project, but it's all sealed up there. So our leak should be over as far as the new section has been replaced. The wall panel that we've all, we went through to help eliminate that locker room issues that we've dealt with for years. So it's all going to be gone. They started hanging the first wall panels yesterday, so all the struts up on the wall. So by the end of the week, I'm guessing that wall will be closed. All we'll be left to do will be putting the coping on top. Auditorium remodel is going well. All new LED lights are going in there. They started the audio today. The rigging is all done and replaced. They're still putting things up on the stage. All the new rigging, if you remember, was chained down and padlocked. That's all gone. It'll be ready to go by school. The one thing that won't be happening, Mr. Miller, I don't know if I spoke with you about, but we're waiting on some motors that have been delayed, but everything will work manually, so it will be full operation to go. The control project's going well. It's just a lot involved in here at Greenville Wells. And I do have to commend Mr. Miller, Mrs. Stanley, the headaches that have been going along with that. They've been very patient, but we're real close. We'll probably be done with the control project in the middle of October. I think contracts through December, but I think we're shooting for the middle of October to be done with that. And it's going to help us be able to control the building lots of areas also, and it's bringing up the efficiencies that we have that we're going to be down the road thinking about how we're going to deal with those matters. The tennis courts, we're rolling through that. We having some hiccups every now and then. Mr. Ramey and Kyle's been involved with me on that, and we're getting through that. I think some of the board members, I know Greg's been out here with me, and I appreciate his time. I think Dennis has been out here too, and I appreciate your guys' feedback on things like that you see. It's always great to have another set of eyes on stuff from a different vantage point. But does anybody got any questions that I can answer for you on any part of the project?
Well, thank you, Dennis.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Dennis is ready for it to get done because we're not rolling into another one come August anyways. Thank you, Dennis.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Michelle, and she has with her Renee. And Michelle's going to give us a kind of year in review, say what's been going on in the food service world. She did it last year, and I think you'll see that she hasn't been sitting still and continues to move forward. So turn it over to you, Michelle.
All right, thank you.
Let's see what the projector's not on.
Hear it. Yeah. And now I see it.
Is there ever any doubt?
All right, so we've had another great year in all of our cafeterias. So I'll review just a couple of the new things and some of our goals for next year, and some of the things that we've done this year. The first thing that we did this year, was based on students, what we hear from students, and that was smoothies. Look at go. There we go. So these became very popular as soon as we started serving them. We did several different flavors, and this is one of our new items based on what we hear from the students. These are also we've done strawberry banana, strawberry peanut butter chocolate, all sorts of ideas, and they fly right off the shelves. The next thing we're still doing is making our pizzas in the house. I've had requests from other school districts for our recipes, so I have shared it with a few other school districts. Kind of didn't want to, but I did. Thought it was the right thing to do. We even have staff that place orders for takeout for our pizzas, so it tells you how good they are. This year, what we'll start doing is making those same pizzas at the elementary schools. We have been serving a pre-made pizza there last year, but since we've got the recipes down, we're going to go ahead and start making those at the elementary level this year. Of course, pepperoni and cheese are still our top sellers, but we do all kinds of other ones. We did a Greek one. We did a Big Mac pizza, taco pizza, all sorts of pizzas, barbecue pizza, tons of them. They're all pretty popular, but of course, cheese still number one. One of the big things that was my main goal when I first started here was the fruits and the vegetables. Not a lot of fresh going on, so we have added, I don't know, on any given day when you walk into the cafeteria, you're going to see a regular fruit and a regular vegetable out of the can, commodity item. But on top of that, you're going to see probably 3, 4, sometimes even 5 fresh options in the fruits and the vegetables. We partnered with Beasley's last year. So those are some of Beasley's apples. We serve them cut up like that and whole. So whatever the kids prefer. We've done the fresh fruit salads. Watermelon, always a big one. We don't do it often, but we do serve the watermelon as a treat. Those fresh vegetables there, you would not believe how many we're going through. Another one we tried, broccoli salad. They did pretty good on it, Renee. I think it's usually fine. You have to serve it twice to figure out if they like it or not. Cucumber salad, they do like. We do still use commodity items, but we don't just put them right out of can. So you can see some of the things that the ladies have done to make these, more appealing. So we'll add cheese or we'll add seasonings. That's strawberry applesauce that we make from our commodity applesauce. One of the big things we did this year was expand the grab and go. And also our branding. So we put a brand on all of our items that are coming out of the grab and go. The kids think it looks really cool, and it tells them what's in there and whether there's an allergy involved on the label. So you can see fruit cups, fresh fruit. We do that when it's available. The veggie and ranch snack boxes, they go pretty well. I was surprised by it, but it's a popular item. Protein box, kind of like Starbucks there. We also do a charcuterie box. The charcuterie box is a meal. They can take a milk, and then obviously they can always take more fruits and vegetables with it. Chicken salad croissant box, that's a hot one for the teachers. We do caramel and apple. That's another variation of our charcuterie box. We do hummus and pita, which it's starting to catch on, believe it or not. We make those pita chips in-house. We also started doing Lunchables, which are a big hit. Wing Day, always the busiest day. The kids love it. So we give them an option of several different flavors. They're doing this at the elementary schools too. So it's a hot day, big, busy day. So this year we experimented with a ramen bowl. I was super excited about this. It looks beautiful. It tasted great. Kids were like, maybe not. So I think we'll have to try it again this year to see if it's actually a big hit. These are our wraps. They love the buffalo. So we do have several different wraps that we do. That's one of our most popular ones. But, we put spinach and lettuce and all kinds of good stuff in it. We tried a buffalo chicken salad with the pita chips since they like the pita chips so much. These are our Lunchables again. We have 3 different varieties right now. We trialed these at Thorntown, and Kay called me and said, oh my gosh, I have to make 200 of these today. So yeah, they took off. What's cool about these is technically you can grab that and grab a milk, you've got a meal, but we allow the kids to take whatever else with them. So, if they want blueberries, they can take it with them. If they want an apple or more vegetables, they can take it as well. And most of the time that's what happens, but it is a meal. Those are our grab and go coolers. They are stocked and full to the brim. There's so many options. Most of the kids, they know right where to go. So it'll be interesting to see the 7th graders, coming over this year and seeing what they do. We'll probably have a pile up at those coolers. So this is one of my crazy ideas. Sometimes I say, oh, let's do this, make Rice Krispies for 750 kids. No big deal, right? We were there pretty late. But it was fun, and the kids loved it. Coffee bar opened this year. It's been a big hit. Students are loving it. We are serving several coffee drinks. We keep coming up with different flavors. Students will come up and say, why don't you do this? Or let's try this. So that ended up in us serving chai lattes, which, yuck, but they love them. We also do some options that aren't coffee, the Star Refresher, hot cocoa, hot tea. And a lot of kids came up this year and wanted boba. So we are going to trial it next year. We'll see what happens.
And Michelle, that's for the coffees for high school only,
Yes,
right?
high school only. So we do have a system. They come through the line and purchase their coin first so that we know that they're a high schooler. Then they'll bring the coin to our barista, and the barista will make their drink. We still love to do catering for our awesome staff. We're planning another one for back to school. This is our beautiful new dish room. So it's almost complete. They are estimating that it'll be complete this week. I have my doubts, but I'm very hopeful. When we were planning this project, there were a lot of things that we wanted to include in it, but I kind of slowed my roll and thought, well, let's break this into phases. So the first one was to get the dish room done. That includes the new 3-compartment sinks, 2 garbage disposals, a new dish room sprayer area, a new dish machine, which is a very efficient small machine, as you can see in that first picture. It is about 1/3 of the size of our old machine. The next phase will be the floor. We're going to correct some issues that we're having with our floor. We'll start with the area in the dish room. Then phase 2 would be to correct the kitchen floor. Phase 3, we want to do to get rid of the 3-compartment sink on the north end of the kitchen and put in a hand sink and some storage and prep area for the cooks. So that's kind of going to happen, fall or Christmas break and then next summer. This next school year, of course, we want to increase the participation. That's the main thing that we're always looking to do, is get more kids involved in eating in all of the cafeterias. I'm always looking to expand breakfast. It kind of seems like we've hit a wall and we are serving the most that we can. Our numbers are kind of staying the same. So we'll be talking about ideas on how we can expand that breakfast. I know Wells had some teachers that were bringing some kids down, and that helped get our numbers up a little bit there. So maybe that's some things that we can talk about next year, is to get more kids eating breakfast. I'd like to focus more on our elementary schools this year. Renee is settled in her position, has been doing an amazing job. So I feel like I can kind of get out of the high school now and spend more time at the elementaries. I want to take the things that we've been successful with at the high school and bring them to the elementaries. We started trialing this towards the end of the year, last year, with the baked potato bars, the mac and cheese bowls, the yogurt parfaits, things like that. So I want to just continue to do that to where our menus almost match. I want to continue to do the scratch cooking and baking, which we are doing. I mean, it's most of it, isn't it, Renee? We scratch cook a lot. We take what we can get with the commodity. I spend that money wisely on our main proteins, and then we just take it from there and make it better. So most of the time, we are not popping open packages and serving it. We're scratch cooking in those kitchens. So I want to make that more so in the elementaries this year. We've discussed doing a salad bar at the high school, so I'm kind of torn with this one. We're kind of still throwing it around, so we'll see. But we have decided to do an after-school sub-sandwich meal for the kids. A lot of the kids are spending money, or a lot of the parents may be spending more money, for Subway or something like that, for something that we can do in-house, and it's going to be healthier, it's going to be tastier, and they can just come right through and pick it up from us. So we've come up with an order guide, a little order sheet where they can put in their orders. And Coach Pelly has kind of showed it to the kids, the sports kids, and we're going to share it with the band kids. We're going to share it with everybody and see how that goes this year. So they'll order a sub. We'll make it for them ahead of time, and they'll be able to come through and pick it up after school. It'll come with sub, a large water, and some chips. And then finally, I've been trying to do this since I started, is getting us more involved in Farm to School. I have a couple of things coming up that I'll be going to this year, and hopefully we'll be able to get on board with this program. I think it's really neat, and with where we are in the community we're in, I think it's kind of an important program that we participate in. Our numbers look great. They fluctuate a little, obviously, due to enrollment, but I mean, we're doing great. We're serving more staff meals. We've got a great participation rate at lunches. Like I said, breakfast, I'd like to see a little better. And a la carte, we're selling a little bit more, which is great. That's money for us to use to do improvements on our kitchens. But Wells is doing good. We're going to see him do better this year, I think. Thorntown, I saw a bit of a drop at Thorntown, but I think that was related more to enrollment than anything. So I expect to see that go up this year too. Still a good percentage. I kind of researched where we are in the nation and where we are in Indiana. And the average in Indiana is about 62% for lunch and about 54% in the nation. So we are above that at all of our schools, which is great. So I just want to keep that rolling. And then when we go to the high school, one of the best numbers, one of the coolest things that I saw, you'll see seconds served. We served 12,976 second meals. That means the kid ate one meal and they came back and got another one. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. Our a la carte numbers look great. We've gone up again from last year. 79%, 76, 73, we're all above the average. I think we're doing great. I just really want to see what we can do for breakfast. Our teachers are still eating, even more so than last year. And that leads to this. I mean, we served 238,728 meals this year. That's an average of 1,417 meals a day. And then I talked a little bit about, our balance. We're still above what IDOE wants us to be at, which is a 3-month operating budget. I'll just kind of continue to spend that money wisely. But, as we keep making more, which is a good place to be. But the dish room will help bring that balance down a little bit. Big shout out to all the staff that continues to eat in our cafeterias. That was something that we did not see before, and I'm so happy that they're continuing to come in. The kids love to see them in there. And a big shout out to Renee. Thank you. You've done an amazing job taking over that lead position at the cafe. It's going to allow me to get out to the elementaries this year. I feel like my staff's doing some really amazing stuff. We hear it in the hallways. We hear it. They come in and they say, this is great. Renee goes out into the cafeteria a lot after lunches and just talks to the kids, sees what they like, gets a lot of feedback. And they love it. They're loving the food. So, I'm just really, really blessed to be in this position and very thankful. But that's it. That's what we're doing. Any questions?
Is the grab and go coolers, are those available for after school as well?
Yeah.
What hours do you open up for kids to be able to come in and start getting breakfast? You mentioned trying to have a better breakfast attendance.
We're there at 7. Of course, it relies a lot on buses, which, that is the way it is. We talked about doing a cart, maybe to meet the kids when they're getting off the bus to get a few more.
Is that a thought? Sometimes it's a time constraint.
It is.
Bus trying to get to the
It
class.
really is.
Yeah.
It really is. They have to come all the way to the cafeteria. So a lot of them may not be able to do that. That's why we thought a grab and go cart for breakfast. I applied for a grant that is 3 grab and go breakfast carts. So hopefully I'll get that grant and we'll be able to use those carts to take them to where the kids are getting off. And it would be like a grab and go breakfast. So something they could eat on the way to class. But it would get more of them involved in that program.
And how late is it available after school for the kids who want to pick up something after school?
I'd say we're usually done by 3:30. Yeah, 3:30. We talked about staying open later, but that's usually, yeah, if they're coming in, we stay open, but usually it's around 3:30.
That's a fair
Yeah,
opportunity for them if they want to come in.
absolutely. Anything else?
And the kids, more to you, they have to have their food ate before they show up the first period.
Well,
We're pretty lenient at the Because those kids, they generally get, most buses are dropped off by 10 till 8. So the kids will walk straight through the dividing hallway, get down there, grab something, stand up and eat it. So we're pretty lean in there to start the day on food and drink. After that,
That's good stuff.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Michelle.
Thank
Thank you,
Thank
Renee.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
both.
Appreciate all the effort.
Thank you.
That 73% paid at the high school
Yeah.
compared to the elementaries, that's significant.
It is, and it's the food.
Yeah.
Yeah, we noticed on the days that we were doing some of the cooler stuff at the elementaries, those numbers went up.
Yeah.
Like that Lunchable, I mean, Kay thought, what am I gonna do? I mean, she got it done,
Right.
but you
It's gonna
know,
be interesting to see if with the focus more this year on those two buildings, what percent
Yeah.
of increase that is with the paid.
I think we're gonna see one. I mean, that stuff was super popular on those days, so I think if we continue to do it, I think we'll definitely see an increase.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I always think about how highlights like those, how do we use that to promote our school versus some other options that are out there? Because as your parent, that's what you want to see. Like, that's awesome.
Well, I mean, I've talked to Kyle about Facebook and Instagram and kind of been working on pages. It makes me slightly nervous, but I think it's good stuff and I think we should put it out there.
Yeah. And Lauren and Jeremy would be two good resources over there too, as
Yes.
far as showing you how to do it and what to do it. And yeah,
I think about it too, as far as from a parent standpoint, limiting the trips to Lebanon after school with meals, and that's a big thing.
Yeah.
we eliminated the buffet that used to exist there.
Yeah,
But we still have,
kids going to Subway.
yeah,
Especially with the construction out here.
with the accidents that are happening more frequently
Yeah.
out there.
I like to keep them in and just so they can grab it in here.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna make a sandwich that's better than Subway. So, you know, hopefully they'll take advantage. It's cheaper and it's better. So hopefully they'll take advantage of it. We'll promote it. We'll get them on board.
That's great.
Well, thank you too.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So teacher evaluation numbers?
Yeah, each year we're required to share the evaluation performance data. So just real quickly here, this year, Granville Wells had 5 highly effective teachers, 20 are effective, 0 needs improvement, 0 ineffective, and 1 not rated due to not being here the number of days required to get a rating. Thorntown, 8 highly effective, 15 effective, 0 needs improvement, 0 ineffective, and 0 not rated. Western Boone Junior Senior High School, highly effective 20, effective 22, needs improvement 0, ineffective 0, not rated 6. Then as overall corporation, we had 33 highly effective compared to 32 in 23-24. Effective, we had 57 compared to 56 in 23-24. Needs improvement 0 compared to 2 in 23-24. Ineffective 0, we had 0 last year. And then not rated, we had 7 this year and 5 the previous year. So very consistent. As you know, the principals put a lot of work into what quality instruction looks like. It's pretty well laid out in the rubric to where it's not a surprise on how well you do, but if you meet the rubric. So overall, I would say that the leadership team's very pleased with our performance data. So any questions in regards to that?
On the 2 needs improvements from last year, did those teachers make improvements to meet the effective, or are they just not here? Just curious.
Hold on a minute, I gotta go back and think. You had 1 at Granville Wells and we had 1 at Western Boone. Are they still here? I don't think either one of them's still here. I know they're not. So,
And it's probably a pretty obvious question, but is it similar rubric from this year as from the prior year.
Exact. Yeah, we haven't changed the rubric in probably 10, 12 years. Just little minor changes. It's probably been more than that.
No, we took out the planning part of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
6 or 7 years ago.
And I would guess that that's somewhat of a satisfaction point for the teachers because they know what to expect. With the evaluations as well?
Very competitive in my building. I don't know about the other two, but it's a competition.
But they're not looking for it to continually be changed.
No, I
Yeah,
think,
moving targets.
yeah, I think the overall rubric, everybody's comfortable with what it is and what they need to do. It's not any curveballs being thrown at them.
Well, thanks. I know that.
It's a lot of work on the principal's part and assistant principals to do the evaluations. It's a lot of work.
And historically, from evaluating lots of employees, that can be a real stress point on how they handle it. And there's a lot of education and pieces that go into it that are not just on a piece of paper in that process. So that's a big part of it.
But yeah, Greg, I think your question answer is if we're not comfortable after the first 2 years with the performance of an individual, then we're probably deciding that we're mutually going to go our separate ways. It's very important that we get the best teachers in here doing the best job possible.
Well, thank you all. So we'll move into action items next.
Yeah, you had the personnel. I would recommend that you approve it as presented.
So we've got a pretty extensive list there. Is there a motion?
So move.
Thank you, Brian.
Second.
Thank you, Greg. Any discussion? I know we had those in advance. Okay. All those in favor? Okay. And moving next into the business for the 25-26 district goals.
Yes, again, I shared those in the packet. And, you know, our vision, our mission, our core statement, value statements, we did those last year. And then we try to tie the district goals into teaching and learning, staff growth and development, safe and healthy environment, and then operations to support services. So I would recommend that you approve them as presented. And, you know, we did it with the strategic planning session, that work session with you all. And then the leadership team takes it back and tries to craft them. And then this is our final product.
Thank you. So we have a recommendation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Any discussion on that? The one thing I'll point out is for anybody who wasn't as part of that, yeah, it was a multi-step process. All the district leaders come together, brainstorming, kind of it gets pared down. It is definitely a multi-step process that has been effective for the last few years. So I guess saying that, all those in favor of that motion? Thank you. Next is the Director of Special Education.
Yeah, board policy 2040. If you remember, our board policy has and we need to go back and honestly and tweak some of them, like superintendent, curriculum director, Kyle's, we need to combine. But with the fact that we hired Madeline on full time, I wanted to get that director of special ed into our board policy. So essentially, those are the 11 duties that Madeline will be doing as a director of special ed. And it will be official board policy then, similar to other job duties with other here at the admin building.
So we have a recommendation that the board approve the Director of Special Ed Board Policy BP 2040. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you. Any discussion, any questions regarding that? And if there are none, all those in favor? Okay. Next is Board Policy 3136.
Yeah, if you remember each year, I had to come before you and ask you to approved the tag grant. Some language changed over time, but basically it was a set amount of money that the state gave, and we had to have a policy, and I had to send it to them and it had to get approved. Well, that's changing now. So as I shared with you all on the legal from the ISBA, the legal advice there, it said that we no longer have to adopt it and we can remove it from our policy manual, but we need to retain it for public record. So that is what I'm recommending that you all do. Repeal it, and then, it will not, since it doesn't exist anymore.
Right. No need having a,
Right.
we have a recommendation to repeal board policy 3136, the teacher appreciation grant. Is there a motion?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion, any questions regarding that motion? All those in favor? Thank you. And next is the attendance policy, board policy 6020.
Yeah, I appreciate Mr. Miller's help with the assistant principals out when we get the advice from the ISBA attorneys. Mr. Miller sat down with me, and then he went back through and reworked it based on the guidance, based on the changes from the legislators this year. It's kind of gotten out throughout the state, and it's a hot topic, so to speak. But we're kind of told what we can do. They'll throw it back and say, well, you decide, it's local. But I mean, to me, it's pretty well laid out when an attorney's telling you what you can and can't do based on the state law that was approved by the legislators. So not to go real deep into the weeds, one of the things that they now are allowing up to 6 days for students tied to FFA or 4-H. So that's been added to the policy. And then the overall process, we're at a 10-day excessive absence prevention meeting. If you miss 5 days, you're getting a letter. Counseling department's meeting with the student. Prior to that 10th absence, the 10th absence for the school year. So that's or 5 unexcused in a 10-week period. So see now what the assistant principals are going to have to be dealing with. It starts getting stacked on top of each other. The process there is a parent letter sent, attendance conference scheduled, and then an attendance plan is set there with the parent involvement. 10-day unexcused reporting. At any time a student has 10 unexcused absences, we will file a report with the sheriff's department. Report will be filed with DCS, and then a notice of no ECA participation. So if you're not here, you're not participating in our ECA activities. This isn't a large percentage of students, but nonetheless, it's still dealt with at each building, unfortunately. And then at 18-day reporting, anytime a student's absent 10% of the school year without extenuating circumstances, then regardless of those absences, a report's filed with the sheriff and a report's filed with DCS. That's basically following the guidelines handed to us from the State House and IDOE. So again, we do our best. There's always an argument. Well, I didn't know you're going to do this. I didn't know that. Well, you didn't read the policy. It's the bottom line. And so with these few changes here, obviously this is going to change a change in the board policy, if approved, is going to now change our handbooks. So I would recommend when we're saying we're revising the attendance policy, we also mentioned that we're going to revise our handbooks as needed for the 25-26 school year. And obviously they can't go back in any hard copies of a handbook that was ordered 2-3 months ago. But they will share that with the parents to say, this is an updated policy. Mr. Miller, anything else that I'm missing?
No, the big adjustments for us is we're tracking by the school year now, whereas we used to track by the semester. Now, what Mr. Ramey talked about with the 18 days, that's been a state attendance guideline for a while. That's by school year, so we've been doing that part for a while. But everything else we've been tracking by semester. So probably the biggest change for us is we're tracking by the school year now. So, we had to set our limit. We set it at 10, just to keep it simple. But still, the reporting piece is those unexcused absences get to 10, and then the 18 days.
What was the policy last year when they would get a letter? What was
4-day letter.
the four?
Yeah, first one went 4, and we followed it up with an 8-day letter. And then we tried to schedule meetings based on the 8 days in the semester. So everything's gonna be within a school year now instead of a semester.
And then by law, we can no longer suspend or expel somebody who's not showing up to school. That happened very seldom, but there were times when you just couldn't get anybody, a few students to show up, and you don't have any other option. So, but that's only for the next year, and then it will change. So anyway, that's the way I understand it. So.
With this being a school that provides the FFA and the ag, it may be a smaller group of kids, but some of those kids are very successful in what they're doing in those programs and very active in it. Some of those same kids are ones who could be out for state fair and missing some of that. Is that a very big concern of the up to 6 days being the maximum? Because it seems like we have a fair number of FFA opportunities and trips that they take throughout the year as well.
We probably have kids who have taken over 6 days to go.
But if it's a field trip.
It's a field trip versus a showing at the state fair. There's it's a little fine line. It's a field trip, class related trip versus individually going. That's where we kind of have to separate.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's a good question.
I just, you don't want to limit opportunities for those. Those aren't typically the kids we're worried about
Right.
because they're pretty
Well,
engaged.
yeah, if they're here and the grades are good,
Mhm.
let them go. There's a lot of things that kids go do their school, not in school.
Yeah. We don't do a lot of field trips necessarily at the junior, senior high school level, but FFA, you all know that because you approve them. That is one of the groups that does miss some school, but it's tied to the school work. And they meet the certain requirements.
Gotcha. Okay, so superintendent recommends the board approve the revised attendance policy with the corresponding handbook updates. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Melissa. Any discussion? Any other questions?
Say that.
Otherwise, how about we'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor? Thank you. And next will be the board policy 6050 for bullying.
Yeah, there was a slight change in here that's now required. And it's a matter of how you notify parents. So it's like the second to last sentence. Parent notifications will occur by the end of the next school day after receiving the bullying complaint and when the investigation is concluded. That's the change there that we need to make based on all the recommendations. So
We have a recommendation that the board approve that revised bullying policy, BP 6050. Is there a motion?
Second.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Phil. Any questions or discussion on that? And if not, all those in favor? Thank you. Next item is transfer students, board policy 6195.
Yeah, and essentially that's just elimination of one sentence, and that one sentence was under no circumstances will a transfer student be accepted for athletic reasons. And the IHSA changed their stance on that based on Indiana lawmakers wanting it to occur that way. So now you can have one transfer for athletic reasons. So that's the only difference in that policy.
We have a recommendation that the board approve that revised transfer student policy. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Greg. As far as the discussion goes, what I recall from our athletic meetings on that is I think a student has the opportunity to do that transfer once within their first 6 semesters, and then they have a second opportunity in their senior year. So actually a kid can transfer twice over the course of their high school career if they choose to for athletics. But the second time, if you do it during your senior year, you've got to miss a substantial, I forget the amount, a substantial part of the season.
30 days, is that what you said? Yeah, it's somewhere along that.
Maybe not as much for a winter sport because they're so long, but for a fall sport, that's huge. So we have a recommendation and we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Thank you. And next is the board policy 6331 on emergency medications.
Yeah, and it was pretty specific. The previous policy was pretty specific on the one drug that it was mentioned multiple times, and now they're just saying the definition is a Federal Food and Drug Administration approved opioid overdose reversal medication, including nasal spray. So it eliminates specific and then gives a more general definition. So that's pretty much, and then anytime it would have referred to the prior drug, it's now just referring to emergency medication. So that's basically the change in that.
Was it Narcan? Is that what?
Yeah, Narcan
And so they just don't want to use the
naloxone,
brand name.
is that nice? Yeah.
That was the only.
Yeah, it's just a definition and then kind of,
And anytime limited, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so regarding board policy 6331 for emergency medications, Superintendent Ramey recommends the board approve the revised emergency medication policy. Is there a motion? Thank you, Greg. Melissa, the second. Thank you. It's my bad ear. Any further discussion with this or questions? Okay, all those in favor? Thank you. And next would be the 5th grade athletics.
Yeah, we've had this discussion in the work session, and then we had it at the last board meeting. Danielle and Justin spoke about the conflicts and kind of the obstacles that exist there. So as a result, I would recommend that you approve the elimination of school-sponsored athletic teams at the 5th grade level. And this is just to make it official so that people would know that it's just a follow-up from prior topics on the agendas.
So we have a recommendation then that the board approve the elimination of the school-sponsored athletic teams at 5th grade, which I believe was volleyball and basketball.
Yeah, girls volleyball and then both boys and girls basketball.
Is there a motion for that?
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions or further discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor? Thank you. Next is the lunch and land contract.
Yeah, launch and land.
Launch and land.
Yeah, it used to be called base,
Your presentation on my brain.
I was getting hungry while you were talking myself, so, but anyway, it's by Mental Health America, Boone County. Pascal Fedek is the director there, and it's base, but now it's called Launch and Land. So the contract is similar to previous. It's not a cost to us, but we have to provide the space. So I would recommend that you approve that. It's a great service for our families. It's a great option.
And so we have a recommendation that the school corporation approve the 1-year contract from August 1st, 2025 and ending on or about July 31st, 2026. Is there a motion?
So
Thank you, Melissa.
Second.
Thank you, Dennis. And the only thing I'd say is part of that is there's like an indemnification clause that says they have to carry their own insurance and things. So it's not just great for the kids, but it doesn't put the school at any risk as well. Yeah. All those in favor? Great, thank you. Next are the school lunch prices.
Michelle, is there anything you'd like to, Michelle's recommending that we approve the lunch prices for 25-26. Anything you'd like to add on that?
yes, there is a lot of thought, discussion, and research behind deciding to raise the lunch price, lunch and breakfast. Did a price comparison of a lot of surrounding schools. Raising the price of breakfast puts us pretty much in line with everybody else. We are, even with raising the lunch price, we are still pretty far below what surrounding areas school charges. We decided on the quarter. When talking to Kyle, I didn't want to do it twice because we're facing a lot of unknowns. And even looking, we've started to research food prices, and they're skyrocketing. So we just don't want to be caught behind. But I think it's time, and I don't think it's too crazy of a jump for what we're providing. And I want to continue to be able to provide that. So that's why I'm recommending it.
And I think it's a reminder too, Michelle briefly mentioned in her presentation when she was talking about her balance. The food service department is self-supported. There's no taxpayer money outside of some federal money, federal program that would go and support her. So how much she pays, how many people she has, what she can provide, is basically on what that balance looks like. So that's
And it's basically what, $2.25 for lunch, $2.25 for lunch.
$2.25 for
$2.25
lunch.
at the elementary level, and it would be $2.75 at the high school. So it's just a quarter all the way around. And like I said, for what we're providing. I think that's-
And there are opportunities for kids with financial,
Absolutely.
so yeah.
Absolutely. We don't-
I'm just saying that for the good of the folks who maybe haven't normally followed to know what's going on with
We
school
don't let
prices.
any kids get
Right.
fed.
No, every kid gets that.
Yeah.
We- So, but, you know, like I said, a lot of research went into it. It is time.
That's great. So Michelle is recommending the board approve the school lunch prices for the 2025, 2026 school year then as presented. Is there a motion for that?
So moved.
Thank you, Phil.
Second.
Thank you, Greg. Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor? Thank you. And next item are the food service staff summer retention bonus.
Yeah, this started a few years ago, a little after COVID, if I remember right. We recommend the board approve a food service staff summer retention bonus of $1,000 to all food service staff members that are employed by August 31st and complete the 25-26 school year. So we just paid out those that would have gotten through last year. So we approve it ahead of time so that we can pay it out at the end of next school year. So it's just an incentive to stay on. And it helped kind of close a little bit of gap that, from lack of income. It's hard to find part-time jobs like the ladies need and such. So it's multi faceted, I guess. So
Excellent. So we've got a recommendation that we approve the food service staff summer retention bonus of $1,000 to all food service staff members that are employed by August 31st, 2025, and complete the 2025-26 school year in good standing. Is there a motion? Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Melissa. Any further questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Thank you. And next, the 2025-2026 bus driver pay.
yeah, this is been a lot of work, a lot of thought, a lot of discussion. I think we finally came on to a compromise. Bottom line is perform a vital role, but it wasn't necessarily fair and consistent on how we were doing things. And so Kyle and Lisa had spoke, and they trying to figure out a fair, consistent way to do it, which is no doubt going hourly. But when they start figuring that out, if we went through kind of our original scale, we were going to have people that were going to be making less doing the exact same job. And I had trouble wrapping my mind around that. And so we sat down, and then we all came up with a compromise. So anybody, we basically determined their hourly rate, because they weren't paid by hourly rate, they were paid for by the route. So we determined their hourly rate based on their route pay. And if they were making more than they would have been placed on the schedule, we're going to keep them there until they get to that point. Now, that's because we very happy with the performance of our bus drivers. They serve a vital role. They have a CDL with an S endorsement. It's a little bit difficult process to go through, and as a result, they can. And then the other thing is kind of like a square peg in a round hole, is because hourly rates, you look at that, but they're only working a few hours, and you have to have the people willing to do that. So it's a juggling act. So as a result, we have come up with what we believe is a compromise. It's going to cost us more to do it this way, but sometimes you got to be fair and equitable in order to do it. And I wasn't in any position where I was going to do anything to where we could lose 12 out of our 20 people because they were going to be making less. And so everybody should be very happy with this. And Kyle and Lisa, do you have any other, as far as our recommendation to approve this? Any comments, Kyle?
I think I think we were really happy with the scale we developed. And then when we tried to put everybody on it, it worked great for some and not great for others. So what we wanted, what we're recommending is that scale become the new scale for bus drivers. So any new hire we bring in, we're going to start them out on that first row of the scale, and then they're going to match all of our other classified staff with the same number of rows. So this is kind of our last group of our classification of employees to get onto a scale like this, which we really wanted to do, because before, once they hit 5 years, they didn't get a bump for loyalty like everyone else. So now there's 16 steps. It's a really good thing, but there, like Rob said, the trick is we didn't want it to hurt anybody, and so that's why we kind of went with this hybrid approach, which is what the second email that was sent out Friday had that updated.
And for those people that were maybe same pay, they're still getting a 3% bump this coming year. So that's it's a good thing all the way around. And then we have some people. We have an individual who runs about 7.5 hours a day nonstop.
It's a stoppage, but it's like maybe an hour, and especially if you have to go home or if you're going home, there's not a whole lot you can do in that hour's time between when you're stopping and you got to start again.
But we realized that as far as hourly rate, they were kind of getting the bad end of the deal.
There was two drivers really.
Yeah, and so this is trying to make it fair for everybody, and it just, I appreciate Lisa and Kyle to realizing that we need to do something to get it on par with everything else. And it is also gonna be huge for, like Amber and retention, hopefully for bus drivers, that's the goal here. Let them know we appreciate it, but then like Amber, there are some bus drivers that take health insurance. Well, you have to work 30 hours a week to get the health insurance. Well, the way we were doing it before, it was hard to do that. And then the ladies and Brent, the building principals, and Michelle, they use some of the bus drivers. Well, we can't go over a certain amount of hours. So this is all just hopefully helping the whole process.
So in order for them to get eventually on the new scales, that just the years of service then?
Well, we just want to make sure that when their years of service, that hourly rate at that time is more than what they're currently making. So we're not going to put them on that until it's like a bump for them. So that was kind of our compromise, was like, we're not going to let it hurt you, but as soon as it helps you, we'll get you on that scale.
If it does.
If it does. A
Yeah,
few
there's
of them,
some that are gonna be above the
Above it.
16 plus, but hey, that's the past. We can't go back and change. We have to move forward and do what's right by that.
the other thing I wanted to mention was that the scale, if we just put all the drivers on it, was going to cost us about $20,000. Okay. And this new hybrid is about $45,000 worth of cost. So it is going to cost us more, but in the end, we feel like it's the right thing to do to take care of our current drivers and all drivers moving forward. So
Maybe we can finally take down the looking for bus driver signs then?
I hope so. I really hope so.
our starting bus driver pay hourly is very competitive.
And that's what's gonna be really nice, because every time I had a phone call or anything, and they wanted to know, what is your hourly rate? Well, I didn't have an hourly rate, because I had a daily rate. And it's hard for someone to kind of see that when they're talking to Lebanon or somebody else where they all have hourly rates. So that was, one big push for me, is that it was just gonna make it easier for me to talk to applicants, and, they understand what they actually make an hour.
Have the bus drivers seen this yet?
Not yet.
No, but Kyle and Lisa are gonna go through it with each one. We'll go do an overview and then go through, if anybody has specific questions for their own, be able to explain that.
We have a drivers meeting on August 1 where I do the beginning of my school year meeting every year, and that's when we're gonna do the big presentation, let them know. Yeah. But I feel good about it because no one is gonna be going backwards, so even though they may not know or be surprised at their hourly rate, because they probably don't even know what it is right now because they get paid daily. But for us to be able to tell them that nobody will be going backwards, and that's huge, that's what I was worried about.
And potentially, if there are longer days with bad weather or whatever, then it's
Correct. Where before they weren't getting that because it was just
Yep.
already in their route, their daily.
They
thing.
broke down one day and they worked an extra 30 minutes or an hour. They weren't compensated for it. So it
Right.
is for their betterment.
Thanks for all that effort and that thought that went into this. So we've got a recommendation that the board approve the changing CDL bus driver pay from the route pay to hourly pay for the 2025-2026 school year as presented. Is there a motion for that?
So moved.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Greg. And I think the one thing I would maybe throw in on the discussion is the pay for bus drivers and transportation is on a different category, as we talked about in previous board meetings. With the state changing some of those things, it'll be one that we'll have to maybe monitor. But again, the intent is not to be unfair. We're gonna try and find ways of being unfair to some of our vital people in our school.
Trying to show our appreciation and trying to get it to where it's the most fair way we could do possible. And I think when I sit here just thinking about it right now, like, how do we get there? It goes back to probably the contracted drivers.
Yeah.
And we haven't been contracted, we haven't had contracted driver in 20 years, somewhere.
Yeah,
So I've been off a little bit on my years, but yeah. So it's nobody's fault. It's just kind of, at some point you gotta say, why do we do what we've always done? And this is one of those. So, and trying to do it, and be appreciative of our people. So
we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Okay, thanks. Next, coming down the back stretch here, is the
not
salvage.
yet. Mr. Wiley's got a big budget presentation. But Dennis had a salvage list or a little write-up. Floor cleaner, carpet cleaner, radius vacuum, and miscellaneous broken chairs, plastic cabinet, and 6 broken desks. So I recommend you approve that.
We have a recommendation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
second.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Melissa. Any questions or discussion on that? Thanks for putting that together. All those in favor? Okay, thanks. And non-resident students is next.
Yes, we have a few here. Ethan Burns, Thorntown, 4th grade. Braden Burns, Thorntown, 6th grade. Stephen Madison, Thorntown, 6th grade. And Thomas Goss, Western Boone, 9th grade. That's all for this coming school year. I recommend you approve those.
Thank you. We have a recommendation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thanks, Greg. Thank you, Dennis. Any questions, discussions on that? And if not, all those in favor? Thank you. Next are the claims.
Yes. A few claims to mention tonight. One is we transferred $13,199.97 out of our preschool grant fund, which is 3030, into the education fund on June 24th. I just wanted to mention that because our preschool program is net zero cost, to our education fund is what we claim and what we strive for. And this year we came up a little bit short in the money we brought in versus the money that went out. And so we have this preschool grant that we get from the Community Foundation, and we do use that to help keep our tuition low. And so we made that transfer to make the 24-25 school year basically no cost to our education fund. So I did want to mention that. And it is the reason why too that we raised our preschool tuition $15 a month this year. So that was something I thought was important to mention. We had a few other claims to mention. Check number 95800 to CAH Custom Installs, $8,500, and that was for the installation of the new JV softball scoreboard. We also had $19,500 paid, check number 95840 to SimTech Golf LLC, and that is for the first 50% of the Double Bay golf simulator that work started on today. That was paid out of the Witham Fund 1715. So again, nothing against our education or operations fund. Also, all of our bond payments on June 25th were paid. So all of our debt payments went out. The GEO bond was $188,750. The 2024 bond payment was $793,500. The 2016 bond was a little over 1.5 million. 2019 bond was 80,500, and the 2022 bond was 319,500. We make those payments every June and every December, but those are big payments that go out. There were quite a few construction invoices that are located at the end of your claims register. If you want to view those, that you are encouraged to do so. But those were the ones that I wanted to mention tonight for claims.
Excellent. Thank you for all the extra detail with that. We have a recommendation. I would entertain a motion to approve the claims then from June 9th through July 21st as submitted. Is there a motion? Thank you, Melissa. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Greg. Any questions or other discussion? All those in favor? Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Next are the monthly financial reports.
As of June 30th, 2025, the education fund cash balance was $5,257,641. Expenditures for June out of the education fund were $883,500. And as of the end of June 2025, a total of 45% of the appropriation for 2025 has been expended. The operation fund cash balance at the end of June was $4,598,921. Operation fund expenditures for June were $429,054. And as of the end of June 2025, a total of 40% of the total 2025 operations appropriation was expended. Western Boone County Community School Corporation has investments in form of various interest-bearing accounts, deposits, and treasuries with financial institutions, and has earned interest as followed. Year to date, Home National Bank, $254,901.87 in interest. Raymond James, $4,230.38 in income and $7,255.29 change in value. And North Salem State Bank, $29,912.78 in interest. Thank you.
Thank you for that update. I don't know if you need to catch your breath, but we're ready to move to the 2026 budget workshop presentation.
Yeah, take a breath here. Move over to the computer. All right. So this is the 2026 budget workshop presentation. For anybody that's in the audience, this will be online tomorrow. So you're welcome to go back and download it if you'd like your own copy. It is riveting. Happy to be presenting it to you tonight. You do see the schedule here. So the August board meeting, I will request to advertise the budget, the capital projects plan, and the bus replacement plan. You have draft copies of those two plans in that packet that I gave you. Please feel free to review it. We won't go through it tonight because we're going to have to go through it again later. So I won't put everybody through that, but I did want the board to have an advanced copy of that plan, of those plans to review at your leisure. If with your approval, I'll advertise the budget around August 15th. It has to be done 10 days before the September board meeting, which is the public hearings. And then October is when the board adopts the budget. We usually get notice back from the DLGF in December, and we can still make revisions at that time. And then the county certifies the budget order usually early January. So to get into the budget, we're only going to look at the education fund, the debt service fund, and the operations fund. Rainy day, we don't plan on spending any money out of it, but we do have that option if the board so chooses. So these are our big three funds. The descriptions are up there. Education fund is what it costs us to educate the students. I won't read these slides because nobody wants to hear that, but the information is there. We always estimate high for our appropriations, just on the off chance that we do get a boon in enrollment, then we have the permission to spend that money if our enrollment does come in high. Appropriation doesn't mean that we will spend it. It just means that we have permission to spend it. And if our revenue comes in lower than this, then our expenditures will match that. So the lion's share of the education fund is always salaries and benefits. It's over 90%, as you can see. And then we do have supplies. Our co-op payments have gone down this year because joint services is no longer. So really the only co-op payments we're making are now to our vocational co-ops, not special ed any longer. That number went down. And then curricular materials, as you know, last year we absorbed that into the education fund as an appropriation. But if you notice on the left side, it's kind of hard to see for the audience, but the curricular material revenue is zero because they have now lumped that in with the basic grant. So it's gone. So we're now on our own for curricular materials moving forward. They did give us a little more for the basic grant, but that's money we're gonna have to just start spending very wisely. All right. That's the education fund. The next is debt service. The appropriations on this one are really easy to figure because it's your debt payments. So you'll see the outstanding debts. You'll also know that the 2016 GEO bond is paid off in 2025. So we do not have to budget for that next year. That is off the books this year. That's good news. Always fun to get debt paid off. The revenue for this is all mostly locally funded with property taxes, excise taxes, financial institution tax, and then cash balance. I put some estimated tax rates. If the assessed value comes in flat, meaning it's what it was last year, then our tax rate will probably be the exact same it was last year. We all thought it was going to be flat. I think you could ask anybody in the last 2 months that everybody's thinking flat AV, flat AV. We know farm ground's going down, right? But I'm worried that our AV may even go up again this year. I just have the sneaking suspicion. So it's going to be this tricky thing because if it goes up again this year, then next year we know it's going to drop. It's going to drop substantially. So we're going to just have to manage the tax rate. I'll keep you posted, but until I know what that AV is, I can't give you better numbers. So it's all an estimate right now. That's the big variable is our assessed value. I think home values are still rising from the 2025 assessments. That's what I think. And that also affects the operations fund. Again, assessed value is going to drive the rate. I've given you a tax rate there based on no assessed value growth, but the local property tax maximum levy was 4% increase. So our levy can go up 4%, which is what you'll see there on the local property tax side. The other thing that's kind of a change is in a few prior years, we were kind of anticipating $1 million transfer from education to operations, and I've reduced it to $500,000 now. We're really dialing that back because our operations fund is a lot healthier than our education fund is right now. So similar funding sources for operations as debt service, except our interest revenue does go into operations. And if we need it, we do have healthy cash balance. If we had a major expense that we had to really dig in there, but our plan is never to expend that full amount. All right. These other last couple slides are hard to read on the screen, but this is some historical data from 2010 through 2025 of our assessed value, of our ADM, our levies, and our tax rates. And as you notice, as assessed value goes up, the tax rate should go down, and you kind of can see that in the two graphs there. As one dips, the other raises, and vice versa. And then I also think it's interesting just to kind of compare us to the counties that surround us. So you'll see Hendricks, you'll see Clinton County, Boone County, and Montgomery County tax rates here. Ours is 0.8988. We're definitely on the lower side compared to our neighbors. Not the lowest, but well below the state average, which I think is $1.02 or $1.03. But it's just interesting. I think we're kind of to the point where Mill Creek is probably the school corporation that's most closely sized with us and has the same assessed value as us. I thought that was really interesting, but their enrollment and their AV is very similar to us as I was looking through all these things. And then their tax rates are fairly similar. There's a little bit higher.
And so some of those, going through that, it can be sometimes when their debt's going to fall off and some of it as well.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Or do they have an operating referendum? You know, that's the ones that are higher here, though, on this, all the ones that are higher have operating referendums. I shouldn't say all of them, but most of them do. And then this is kind of the same graph, but just with 5 years worth of data. So I thought it was interesting to see whose tax rates have fallen as assessed values have gone up and whose like have stayed the same. I know there aren't any numbers on here, but you can kind of get an idea about, I'm pretty proud of the fact that ours is stepping down as the AVs have gone up, because that's kind of what it should do.
Well, that's intentional on our part, right? We're not taking the max.
Right. And Northwest Hendricks theirs dropped substantially over the course of the year, but they had a really high rate too. So this really didn't have anything to do with necessarily the 2026 budget, but it's just a good time to reflect and I think kind of compare and take a look at some of the tax rates. So.
And I would say, as just a big picture, it feels like what we hear is that a lot of the other school corporations either are having or have had other construction projects and building projects and some of that going on. So, I mean, this is even with us keeping our facilities in good shape, like really good shape. Yeah.
And if you remember Jason's presentation from June, we have major debt coming off in 2028. So that's something for us to keep in mind as we look ahead to managing that debt as well as the tax rate. It's just going to be important to keep that in mind. But this is, again, there are a lot of variables. I mentioned assessed value. Enrollment is obviously another big variable that's going to affect our funding and always does. So August 1st is the deadline for the county to get the county's assessed value to the DLGF. We don't usually find out about it until closer to the early part of September. So once we know that, it'll help really dial in some of those key pieces that we're missing now. Are there any questions about this? I do want to stress that it could change. It's definitely very preliminary. We'll advertise high like we always do. We can always drop it down, but we can never go up. So, but I will get those advertisements to you at the next meeting.
Thank you for putting this together.
You're welcome.
Anything about bus replacement?
No, I just wanted to give them that as a heads up. We'll go through it at the hearing. So there wasn't a reason to go through it twice, but I just wanted them to have a preview of it before it gets advertised.
You just said that.
That's great. Any other questions or discussion specifically around this preliminary information? I know for most of us, we've kind of been through this process before, but it's always good to stay up to date with it.
And I'm happy to discuss in further detail. Feel free to give me a call or we can meet.
Well, thank you. Next category is other, and I think we had.
We have a few here. Personnel wise, Kaylee Worth, resignation, 6th grade teacher at Granville Wells. And then non-resident student requests. We have 4 here. Claire Kennedy, Granville Wells pre-K. These are all for this coming school year. Cameron Bishop, Granville Wells 3rd grade. Nevaeh Bishop, Granville Wells 5th grade. And Xander Reagan, Western Boone 7th grade. So I would recommend that you approve the resignation and the non-resident students that I just read off.
So we have a recommendation. We have a recommendation of those items. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Dennis.
Second.
Thank you, Greg. Any questions or discussion on those? If there is none, all those in favor? Okay, thank you. And announcements is next.
Yeah, I just thought of a few here. The corporation-wide luncheon for staff is August 4th at 11:30. If you can be there, we'd love to have you as far as the board members. Then students' first day is August 6th. It's coming right around the corner. The principals were back today. You all know that they're never gone, but this summer was a little bit different. It would seem like there was a little time to kind of get some time away from here. So that was good for each one of them. And then system principals at the high school showed up today. The elementary come in Wednesday, and office staff, I think, it's Wednesday as well, and we'll be rolling. So we'll be ready to go. And then last but not least, stick around and partake in some Jane cake to celebrate Kyle's birthday. So appreciate you all being here, and let Shane wrap it up.
Before you
In principals, there are no like certified teaching hires that are hanging out there that we're waiting on at this moment, right? Well, I mean, it's better to know, because I mean, sometimes people are asking.
You know, right now we are fully staffed with certified staff.
That's awesome. Well, I would open a motion to close the meeting then.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? All right, thank you all for making it tonight and for all the information on the meeting.